Another brilliant person that I've had the opportunity to meet is Rama Akkiraju. Is that close? I was introduced to her in a USC Price presentation and found out that she was part of the Watson team. And for those of you that have heard of Watson, an example of that is when it competed on Jeopardy and won, correct? The capability of being able to think those thoughts, to be able to create a product like that, just boggles my mind. And for Rama to be able to join us today, I'm extremely excited about. Government agencies at all levels are eager to improve their citizen services and deliver them more efficiently. Advances in information technology, data management, and analytics are making it possible to build platforms upon which services can be delivered effectively and efficiently. Once the initial iteration of digitization and electronic service delivery is achieved, governmental agencies can go further by offering highly personalized services to its citizens, thereby significantly improving the citizen-state interaction. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Rama Akkiraju.
Hi, good morning. I'm really excited to tell you about the work that we do at IBM here today on cognitive computing. So before we go on, just imagine this person, Joe, who is 60 plus years old, who has a congestive heart disease, who just had an episode and has been hospitalized. And doctors are giving him treatment and are trying to figure out, based on his past conditions and his current condition, what's the best treatment that can be offered to him. And doctors are also aware that every 1 in 4 patients who are discharged from primary care facilities are readmitted within 30 days. And this amounts to about $42 billion of healthcare costs. And some of this cost is transmitted via Medicaid users to state governments as well. So what can this doctor do to help Joe to stay heart healthy and keep good health and not have to come back to this hospital for readmission? So let's say the doctor has access to this cognitive system. And I'll define what it is in just a bit. But for the moment, just go with me. So the doctor has access to this cognitive system that is not only able to access the electronic health records of this person, Joe, but has already processed hundreds and thousands of medical journals and documents about congestive heart disorder, and is able to get access to the best treatment options for patients with this kind of symptoms. And this doctor, working with Joe, is now able to have access to all of that information and is able to customize this particular treatment for Joe and his situation. And not only that, let's say that after the doctor has treated Joe and created the treatment plan, before sending home, with doctor's permission and with Joe's permission, let's say Joe has been given a mobile app. I would call that a cognitive agent that he can install on his phone. And say that mobile app has access to Joe's physical fitness regimen through the Fitbit device that he has. And say that Joe also has given access to this app to have the logs that he takes about the diet that he takes every day. And also he given access to the food that he eats via taking photographs, and also the portion sizes that he eats. Now this app can work with Joe like a good friend and give him advice and motivate him to stay fit and go on that walk or bike or trail that he wants to go on. And maybe even like a good friend chide him gently when he is going off the track. And let's say together, doctor and Joe are able to monitor his daily activities and are able to advise him on a regular basis. And Joe is able to stay healthy and keep heart-healthy behavior and stayed off from the hospital and has not been readmitted within 30 days. Now, that's a great outcome for Joe from his health point of view, for doctors from being able to create an effective treatment, and for the state because they can now they now have Joe not returning to the hospital, right? And that keeps the costs low for the government. Now let's also talk about this other scenario, the other gentleman that introduced the single mother with 3 children. What if instead of having to go and sit in that government office to find out what her benefits and entitlements are, what if she has a cognitive app on her mobile phone and she's able to interact with it in natural language, and that app is telling her what her benefits and entitlements are. And not only that, and the app is helping her with decision support by offering her various choices and options and what might be the best job that's suitable for her, that accommodates her children's healthcare needs and also her need to earn some money to pay for her bills. Now, is this all far-fetched reality? Not at all. And in fact, I would argue that this is achievable today with the computing capabilities and the new technologies that we are building and the community in general in computer science is building, called cognitive computing. So let me tell you a little bit about this cognitive computing. So let's look at this. 90% of world's data was created in the last 2 years. And 80% of world's data is unstructured. What do we mean by that? This is the kind of data that doesn't go in a database, typically. This is the text. This is the audio, video, speech, and social media data that people are putting out there. And this is the kind of data that doctors are taking in their notes. This is the kind of data that a medical or a healthcare worker is taking in notes in their case history, which has been completely left fallow up until now because it's considered too difficult to deal with. And what is happening? 1 trillion connected devices are generating this 2.5 quintillion bytes of data per day. That's 10 to the power 18. And there are 6 billion mobile devices in the world. Over 1 billion of them are smartphones. And about 2.5 billion active Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts are existing in today. And people are connected everywhere. And they're expecting services to be delivered to them most efficiently. Instead of having to go to that government office, sit and wait in long wait hours to get a particular form filled and to submit it, they're expecting services to be delivered to them online. So we ask ourselves, how can we make people's lives better with technology? And what does it mean? For an individual, it might mean that I want to be able to have services, products, offerings delivered to me on my mobile phone, or maybe on my watch, maybe in my wearable sensors and devices, as and when they're applicable. And for a citizen, it might mean that the state offers them these services effectively and efficiently without having to stand in line. For patients, it would mean customized treatments being delivered to them. And for doctors, it means that the ability to read these millions of journals that are being written and hundreds of articles being written about this particular disease that he needs to know more about, and be able to get insights from it, and be able to have access to the best treatment plans that worked, and be able to treat the patient that he's working with most effectively. How can we get computers to do this efficiently? And how can we get computers to go beyond scientific computing to help people in their daily life to deal with the complexities of life? So let's take a look at how computers have evolved. If you take a look at the history of computing, right? We spent about 100 years in inventing computers and trying to perfect them, and that will continue to go on. And the last 50 years has been about really teaching people how to work with computers. Right? It's about the tabulating records. It's about languages such as COBOL, Fortran, C, C++, Java. Basically, it's about teaching people how to interact with computers and how to write programs. And the systems, the IT systems that we're able to work with have gotten pretty good at being able to store structured data, be able to retrieve that data and answer questions. But I hope that the next 50 years is going to be about letting computers learn how to interact with humans naturally, and be able to deal with this 80% of that other data that we talked about that has been left fallow up until now, and be able to help humans derive insights from it, and be able to work with computers at a higher level than having to learn to interact with computers. Let the computers interact with humans naturally in the natural language form, the speech, text type of formats. So that's what we are calling the cognitive era. So what is cognitive computing? It's about these systems that are self-learning, that are able to take these millions and hundreds of documents of data and are able to look for patterns and reason about the various potential answers and be able to find out why a particular answer might be the right one that I would want to recommend to this particular question at this point in time, and be able to do all of that by interacting naturally with humans. And here is where technologies such as machine learning, natural language processing are coming together, data mining, coming together with the fields of psychology and psycholinguistics to really make all of this happen in the area of, to make possible or to start this era of cognitive computing. So how might such a cognitive computing system look like? Russ alluded to this. It might look like one of these systems that we had built that played the game of Jeopardy with two of the champions of the game in this trivia question-answer game and won. But does that mean that a cognitive computing is about mimicking humans? Not at all. We don't measure the success of cognitive computers or cognitive systems by the Turing tests that they win. A Turing test is when a human interacting with a computer is unable to tell if he or she is interacting with a computer or a human. But we are not talking about that. We want to measure ourselves in more practical ways. We want to measure ourselves with cognitive computing systems by means of how many lives it has changed, how many insights it has given to doctors in coming up with new treatments, and how many new business opportunities have been created because I now have been able to tap into this 80% of the data, unstructured data that has been left untouched before. Now, cognitive systems are about augmenting human abilities. They're not about replacing them. And they're not about doing the thinking for you. They're about doing the research for you so you can do your thinking better. So that is all still very abstract, right? So if I am standing here and saying cognitive computing is the next era, what do I have to offer to the application developers or to the state government agencies here in terms of being able to build this scenario that I painted, which is about creating natural language interfaces that this healthcare benefits worker can, the single mom can work with, or a doctor can work with. We have to have these technologies and building blocks in order to really make this possible. So at IBM, we started working on this. After the game of Jeopardy, we started looking into what are those fundamental building blocks of technologies that are required for developers out there to start building these cognitive applications. So let's think about it logically. So there is a lot of text, and we're talking about unstructured text. So what do we need? We need some kind of language understanding, natural language processing kind of tools that can understand what is being said and what is the intent that the user is communicating through this language, and what are the topics that are being discussed, and who is the person who is actually making all these statements? What is their personality like? What are the emotions that they are conveying when they are talking about these things? And what is the tone in which they are communicating? And if we are talking about interacting with people in natural language, the systems have to be able to deal with multiple modalities, not only text. So we looked at speech and said, well, we have to be able to understand human speech and be able to translate that into text so that we can answer all the questions and be able to come back and answer back to the users in the natural language that they had initiated the conversation. And that might mean translating text back to speech. So I gave this example of this person who is Joe, taking a photograph of his food, and the system is able to analyze what kind of diet and how much proportions the user is eating. How is that going to be possible if you are unable to process an image and be able to identify the object in the image and also be able to infer person's interests and other things from that image? So we need all these kind of building blocks in order to build these cognitive applications. So what I'm showing up here is a set of these building blocks that we have built at IBM. They're classified into language, speech, vision, and these are modular services that are available on cloud that any developer can go access, try them out, test them out, and start building their applications. So I would call out this couple of ones that specifically I work on. One is about analyzing the tone that people communicate in their writing. It talks about the emotions, the sentiments, the language style that people are communicating, and the social and personable styles that they're communicating in their writing. And these kind of things are particularly useful when somebody is in stress and calling about something, and you want to, if there is a chatbot on the other side, the chatbot needs to be able to understand the mental status the user is in and be able to respond back quickly and accurately. And another service, emotion analysis service. And another service is about inferring one's personality traits from the text and images that they're generating. So what does all this mean? So we've put it out there. A lot of people out there are trying out these applications. Several calls are being made. And I invite all of the state government agencies and developer community out there to start trying these applications out. So in closing, I want to say that cognitive applications are already beginning to make profound impact in helping people, in augmenting people's abilities. And I would say the most promising amount of work is happening in healthcare domain, where doctors are deriving insights from this data to be able to address specific problems around solving diseases and creating specific treatments and such. And in fact, we are also doing one study with the state of California where we are looking to see if we can predict veterans at risk of post-traumatic stress disorder so that we can help them in treating this severe, devastating condition. So the era of cognitive computing is here to stay. Computers need to learn to interact with humans naturally, and here we are starting to build this set of building blocks for making it happen. Play around with these services, test them out, give us your feedback. Thank you.